Yay! Get on it, man.
No, dude, I'm doing Chris Zane today. I can't go. I'm going against the crowd with what's up, YouTube. Some guy just tried to call me out on my channel where he's like, I vehemently disagree with you on Chris Zane. He's out there helping people. And I wanted to just be like, dude, how much is he paying you for that? Because Chris Zane's not helping anybody.
Does somebody have music on?
No.
Anyway, to open the video, welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance, everybody. It's our weekly live stream. We do it every Sunday at noon Eastern. And I guess we're missing Nathan Rothko. He'll pop on with this crappy internet. And then Tom Nash is going to jump in later on in the stream. He actually messaged me.
He's going to be on my channel also.
Is he going to report on Russia?
I don't know what he's going to do. I'm prepared. I'm mentally prepared.
I got a video, right? And it was of Tom Nash just tearing into everything money. And I was going to do a reaction to it, but he took it down because I was like, oh, dude, these guys are going to go to war, and this is going to be entertaining for me to just sit on the sideline and watch. Because everything money's been ruthless on him lately.
Yeah.
And then he was pretty ruthless back to them where he was mocking their software. And, you know, I use Everything Money software just because it's just easy and convenient. But what he was saying was actually funny to me. So I was sitting there laughing about it too. And I was going to do it.
I want to see him go to war, you know. I mean, like I think Everything Money is pretty smart, so I don't know. I don't know how Tom would do against Paul, but we'd have to see.
He's not going to be an open war, man.
I agree with you on that. In all honesty, I don't think there's a whole lot of people on YouTube that would do very well if it became an adversarial debate with Paul. There's some guys like Sven Carlin, going to be tough, and some of these other guys that are actual finance professors. But I mean, here's the thing. If any of us with our strategy of maxing our tax advantaged accounts and buying index funds went, yeah, that's our strategy, he would look at any of us and go, yeah, well, that's smart. So
yeah, apparently I think Capital Mindset lost all his money in stocks because now he's living down at the docks, apparently.
Yep. He's down there waiting on the sailors to come by, so he's got some money.
No, I'm watching all these people right now. They're watching the live stream on their phones and filming me. I'm gonna turn the camera around on you guys.
Do it.
Oh gosh! All right, here we go.
Oh, hey!
Hi!
Wow.
Yeah, they're right here. They're behaving right now.
New fan. Awesome.
Hey, yeah, Fabio, you're kind of a boss, man.
Don't
Is
say
that
because
your
they're
bro?
listening. Yeah.
I don't know how
turn it
Fed
down.
figured out that was.
Sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Fabio.
Sorry, what?
Go.
That's funny.
I'm working overtime.
Is Jeremy climbing in the cab? He's been losing a lot on TTCF.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're seeing that liquidity crunch that, you know, it's happening. It's clearly happening. And those are the canaries in the coal mine, all the speculative assets.
You know, I never would have imagined that all these highly speculative small cap growth stocks would have crashed. I just never could have predicted that. There's no possible way this correction could have happened.
Well, dude, yeah, I mean, it really surprised me that Workhorse went down in the past year. I mean,
a financial advisor told me to buy Workhorse. So if a financial advisor likes it, it must be a good stock.
Did he really?
Yeah, the Edward Jones guy that I went to see, you know, just to like spy on Edward Jones. He was like, "Oh yeah, I can tell you about individual stocks, like, you know, Workhorse. I have a stock called Workhorse. It's going to do really well." And ever since then, it's been decimated by like 80%.
I was looking into some videos to make reactions, And one trend that I figure what's going on there that is that these old hypesters, all the YouTube hypesters, Chris Zane, Jeremy, Midbread, they're changing their conversation because I
Well,
talking about Palantir and Tesla is no longer profitable for them because they are crashing down. So,
this is what a lot of them do, and I don't know if Meet Kevin or Jeremy does this, but I do know that Stockmo does it.
what?
He takes down his old videos. So like the videos, I'm sure there's still some of them up, but he takes down a lot of them. So I mean, when you go and look, and even I've looked, and I'm like, oh, dude, where's this video that he did where he's pumping Nio or Workhorse or any of them? So like, I guess, I mean, you got to keep the hustle going somehow, but because I can't imagine, if you look at like a company that you buy and there's fundamentals, there's good cash flow, he falls, who cares? But there's nothing holding up Workhorse and a lot of these other. I haven't looked at Nio recently. Maybe it's doing a lot better, but Tattoo Trucker's taint is not doing any better. There's no fundamentals to it.
So, you know how excited I am for earnings? Like, I think the earnings come out March 10th. I was like, man, I have to wait that long to wait for Tattooed Chef earnings. But, like, as earnings come up, I'm going to make a video on every single one of Jeremy's stocks and just kind of, like, analyze them real quick and just dump all over them. And hopefully it tanks another 10% after earnings. I would love to see that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's what's so bizarre to me about the whole thing is why would you pump a stock like Workhorse or Tattooed Chef and say anything other than, guys, this is a spec play, man. Don't put more than 1% of your money into it because you're straight gambling. But I think this is going to happen. Nope, getting hammered there. I love it. But I mean, nobody's going to be really mad at you if you tell them up front, like, hey, this is a highly speculative stock I think is going to take off, but understand you're gambling on it. Why would you honestly go, I'm going all in on Tattooed Trucker's taint? Like, how dumb are you?
I don't
understand
that, man.
It's like you already have $1 million in the stock. It's like, why are you buying more? Just chill out.
Because it probably panned out during the pandemic situation when all the stocks went up and it was a very bull market and they saw everyone else talking about this stock, Neo, Palantir, Corsair, whatever. So
yeah, but he's still buying Tattooed Chef. It's like, dude, I mean, you have $1 million position in the freaking stock, and you find anything else that could possibly do well besides Tattooed Taint.
I'm gonna re-release the meme because now YouTube allows me to do it. The one that I did with The Office, where you have the Kevin guy. He breaks the vending machine and he gets all these crappy stocks. And I told him it's financial education. Yeah.
If y'all haven't seen Capital Mindset, they make some good freaking like parody videos based on movies and stuff. I still need to react to that one where you did the
Gandalf
rings.
Oh.
Dude, I was sitting there on the couch just laughing my ass off. My wife was like, what the hell are you laughing about? It was like 10 o'clock at night.
Did you enjoy the part where he goes, woo?
Dude, I'll have to check that video out. I haven't checked it out. Mostly, I watch a lot of there's a lot of times where I'm watching late at night before I go to bed. I'm hate watching Stockmo.
Why would you do that to yourself, man?
I don't know, dude. I'm a glutton for punishment. But I'm just sitting there and I'm just thinking to myself, how does this personality-less Tesla shill have so many followers? Like, how many times do you have to get burned by his stock recommendations before you're just like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about?
I mean, he just exudes confidence. You know, he managed the pension fund of Pennsylvania. You know, he used to be a financial advisor. I mean, if you used to be a financial advisor, you must know what you're talking about. I mean, honestly, I trust him with a lot of my stocks.
Plus, he's got Tesla cat that he probably molests behind the scenes.
Oh God!
Oh, I got a financial advisor here.
Oh, do you really?
No, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we should bring him on one day. I'm a huge fan of financial advisors.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. He's off the clock.
I'm sure there's good financial advisors somewhere out there.
He's one of the good ones.
But it's like Dexter was a good serial killer.
Dexter's a good serial killer. That's fine. No, but I mean, we're okay. So basically, with all this, it's kind of like this was bound to happen, and it's kind of just we're gonna see Cathie Wood grift into something else. I see that she's, for example, saying that value stocks right now, it's like the same thing after 2000, which is funny because she was there. She was actually the head grifter of the internet stocks.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, we talked about this last time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't know. I didn't know who Cathie Woods was. I didn't really care. Like when I first looked at her funds, I go, okay, she's playing hype or whatever. But and then when I really started looking into the funds, and I was like, holy crap. Why is everybody calling this woman a genius? All she does is buy hype stocks. There's no cash flow.
Exactly.
When I looked at it, 17 of the top 20 companies in that ETF were unprofitable.
Wait, so is she comparing value stocks to like the the tech bubble? Is that a comparison, or is it something?
No,
else?
She's saying during the tech bubble, after the pop, the move was actually to exit value and go back into growth. But the thing is, she's not saying is that she was in growth the whole time. She wrote it down. She didn't time it, right? So she's saying like, oh, now what you want to do is you want to sell value. But I hate the industry's terminology, value, growth. That doesn't make any sense when you really break it down. Yeah. So, what the textbooks say value is low PE, high price to book, stuff like that. But like I said before, that doesn't mean it's actually a value. That's why that's such a misleading name. So she's saying exit value, exit the ones that are hitting 52-week high. I understand that. I can sympathize with that. But, she's saying, again, go back into these crazy speculative assets that some of them might work out. But, grand majority, no. And now she's having everyone turn on her. You have the grifters, head grifters like Jim Cramer grifting against her when he was like praising her months ago. Now he's completely against her. It's the funniest thing watching that. But that now the blood's in the water and she's bleeding out and the sharks are swimming around her. But the thing is, you guys at least, and Everything Money, a lot of people were calling her out from the beginning because she's been here, done that before.
Yeah, honestly, when Tesla goes down too, I mean, like Ark's been decimated, but Tesla's still doing okay. If Tesla really drops down a couple $100, that fund is just going to get absolutely decimated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting for that day.
I've been saying that to my friends here in Mexico. Don't buy Ark Investment ETF or whatever they are called. I don't know lately, because they are full of trash. Only Tesla supports these ETFs. So yeah, I'm with you, Fabio. So I'm gonna make something in my channel to say that. She's a doctor, basically, a major.
And people are probably tempted to buy Ark again because if you look at it, it's crashed like 50%. So they're like, oh, it's probably going to shoot back up. So I actually probably see a lot of people eventually starting to scoop it back up. They don't really know what they're doing pretty soon.
Well, even if guys, I know this is beyond the possibility. Even if Tesla corrects down to $600 a share.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people there's a lot of YouTubers that were held up solely by Tesla. When you actually look at what they're actually pumping in the long term. So, I mean, you don't even need to see, I mean, that would mean Tesla fell by half, but still, I mean, if it fell to just that, like, I don't think Jeremy would be profitable anymore if Tesla dropped by another third down to like $500-600 a share. I think that would probably put him under all time.
Yeah, no.
This is another thing that people don't understand. Like his channel started to grow when he went all in on GoPro, which tells me you're a moron anyway. You're putting all your money into one stock. Like, I think Intel is an amazing company. I think Intel's probably undervalued. I agree with Paul on that. I don't agree with him on Walgreens. But I mean, I still wouldn't tell you to put more than 5% of your portfolio in it. And even that is a stretch. I think your biggest position should be about 3%, but that's me personally.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, VT happens to be an index fund, so that should constitute like 90 to 95% of your portfolio.
That's true. Yeah, I'm actually tempted to buy a lot of individual stocks. Like, I've seen like Intel is actually getting to that buy point that I calculated. I was thinking it was about 42 is when I really start considering buying it. Facebook's going down. I mean, it's still dropping.
I love that.
I love Facebook. Yeah.
Even PayPal is starting to get interesting. It's
hey
like,
guys, I got a question. I was researching Jeremy before I made my video, and his net worth is around $10 million. Are you guys? Do you think that's accurate?
Jeremy?
Yeah, Jeremy.
I don't know.
Probably his net worth is somewhere in that area. But he's also stupid because he's house poor. He owns 3 houses, and he plays it off like they're investment properties, which they could be. But if you look at the time, and again, I'm not a real estate guy, but I'm just saying you can either be dependent on the YouTube grift, or you could have lived below your means and stacked all that cash. Because if Jeremy didn't make stupid financial decisions, he would be set up for life, whether YouTube went away tomorrow. Instead, he chose to buy garbage stocks and overextend himself. That's why he's on his channel talking about going, well, I might take out some loans against my houses. To buy stocks? You're a moron.
You know what's going to save Jeremy is Moo Moo. He's been shilling the Moo Moo thing a lot so he can get his little free stocks.
Oh,
Jeremy's rescue right there.
Well, dude,
I thought that was a stock. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, dude, I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but I got my first offers recently. I got offered $1,000 to do some NFT thing.
Oh yeah.
I made a video on selling out to it, but I was like, I didn't even know what this crap was. It was like something about like this game or something with NFTs, and it was the stupidest thing I've seen in a while.
Well, so there's a lot of spam that comes from I think it's the Czech Republic, or at least it's like .cz. You'll get a lot of those emails as you start growing, and they're all freaking scams. And then eventually, I guess once you get to a certain level, you'll get contacted. I actually got contacted by Webull for their little promotional thing, but I'm still not 100% sure it's legit. So I actually have to look into it. But hey, maybe I'll throw a Webull link and talk about it in every video like everybody else does.
I got contacted by something to make content for them. I'm talking to them to see if what's up with that, but I have to see if I even have time for that. I don't know.
I don't.
There's just so much sketchy stuff. That's why, I'm really concerned that you got to be really, really careful. You don't put a bunch of trash on your channel that gets somebody in trouble.
Well, I wouldn't do an NFT thing anyways. Like I'm not. I said, whatever my channel does, I'm not doing an endorsement for any products I don't believe in, or I wouldn't personally. I'm just not going to do it. Because to me, it's just disingenuous. Like, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to say a bunch of stuff. Like, here's these special sneakers and knee pads for the truck stop. Well, I'm not really down at the truck stop, so I don't know whether these products work or not. So I'm not going to endorse your crap. I don't care. If I'm not interested in it, I'm just not going to do it. I'm in a fortunate position where I could just quit working tomorrow.
What stock was this?
Dude.
It was Palantir, wasn't it? We know you took the money.
La Tesla.
So now
that was AMC, dude.
Now that
you got offered 40 G's to do a commercial on AMC and become an ape.
I know you made it once you get you have a secretary like you, Tom.
Shit, I'll make my wife a secretary. I'll pay her like $1 an hour to answer my emails.
He got a very nice secretary, though. I like her.
Everybody go check out Index Investing with Cole. He came on last night, and I got drunk, and he got more subs, so everybody won.
It was a good interview, man. Like it. Very funny.
Yeah, it was fun. I like interviewing, other Bogleheads and index fund investors. Like, even if I have a huge channel one day, I'll still bring on people as long as I agree with them.
So I got a question for Fabio. Fabio, you think the Fed is going to raise the interest rates? Or
I mean, I talked about it before that it's not so much that they will. I don't know if they will. And yeah, I won't say like definitively whether they will or will not. They just say that they're going to. And then the market, when they were telling you last year that they were going to do it, that the sentiment is all that would be needed to reprice some assets. In particular, I mean, the only thing I kind of made moves on again was like REITs. I liquidated all my REITs. I started to, take some profits off things, accumulate cash. I was talking about this November, December, and it's not timing the market. It's just, I'm up on this stock. I want to take risk off the table. I do an analysis again. I can't make these assumptions going forward. I'm not comfortable with that. If I was timing the market, I still all my stocks and be like, stocks are going to go down. I'll buy them back later. You see, that's the silly way of doing it. If you do it analytically, you can take out your emotions. So to answer your question, I don't know whether they're going to raise rates. I think the market's going to think that they're going to raise rates. And if they raise rates, okay, the market was already kind of pricing that in. They raise rates more than they thought. Excuse me, sir. Sorry about that, guys.
Don't worry.
Got to make sure they don't get too rowdy. Yeah, that's basically it. Like, you just want to watch out that they raise more than anticipated. You might see some pain, but if you're an index fund investor, you shouldn't care. You should be dollar cost averaging in. You shouldn't be worrying about this. You should be worrying about your day job, and that's it.
I'm actually really stressed about interest rates, man. It keeps me up at night. I actually put in some buy orders for VT at 3 a.m, just like Jeremy did.
You shouldn't look, and even then, you shouldn't be stressed because look, Buffett actually is kind of awesome in the sense that he gives advice in these subtle hints, but people quote him a lot, but they don't actually follow his advice. And he even says like he doesn't follow what the Fed does. And what he's trying to tell you to do is to ignore that and just focus on finding good businesses at good prices. That's it. And then sometimes a certain business does kind of coincide with interest rate policy, like REITs, for example. But most of the time, a business is a business. Just focus on that, and that's about it. And he's kind of, I think, he kind of has the Jeff Snyder pill, in my opinion, but he just doesn't say it overtly. And Jeff Snyder kind of tells us that the Fed actually doesn't even control interest rates. So if you ascribe to that, then you're kind of on the Snyder pill. But it's a theory. I don't have a definitive proof on that he took the Snyder pill.
Well, dude, there's the Jeff Bezos quote about Warren Buffett. He asked Warren Buffett why everybody doesn't invest like him, and Warren Buffett said because nobody wants to get rich slowly. And that's basically what it amounts to. Buffett tells you the entire time what you should be doing. You can go watch videos where he talks about how the average person should just buy the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to him. And this is what we talk about this ad nauseum. I don't get everybody's fanboy boner for buying stocks. I don't understand it. I really don't. I'm like, why is everybody in such a rush to just run out and buy individual stocks? You do know you can wait for these things to go on sale.
Well, because like the stocks are just going to go up perpetually, just like it happened in 2020. So you got to get in now before they get too expensive.
Yeah, FOMO. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the hardest thing when I was younger for me to really learn was patience. Patience is like probably the hardest thing to actually get a handle on in the market.
How old are you, Fabio?
I'll say my age. I'm 24.
Dude, you're
I'm a married
the game
24-year-old man.
Now.
You're crushing the game at 24. I'm sitting in my house with a whiteboard, and you're on a bang boat.
I was forced to. I had to figure out a way to gather resources, pay expenses, stuff like that. So,
but no, I mean,
the motivation.
Respect, man.
when you're talking to somebody about like buying individual stocks, you can play it two ways, right? One in which you dollar cost average completely into your tax advantaged accounts and you max those. And then you can play stocks like Warren Buffett, where you sit there on the side accumulating cash and you wait for a correction.
Yeah, and that's all you do. You just try to find good businesses, period. And you will find that if you just follow that framework, easier said than done, by the way. I'm making it sound easy just doing that. If you do that, you'll find yourself, sometimes you'll have more cash than other times. Yeah, but that's fine. Just stick to remove the emotions and seeing all these people making tons of money at some points. And then sometimes you'll be making a lot of money too. So you'll just won't suffer as much. And the point is you want to reduce that volatility within your portfolio, because psychology is a big factor in investing. Like, you don't want to think, or don't presume that you are that guy, that's going to hold Amazon down 80%. Is what I'm trying to say. So if, for example, if Amazon's in the .com bubble and you have it as like a speculative part of your portfolio because of the valuation, and you're strict on yourself, when it goes down 80%, you're not going to panic sell. So like, I have my speculative stock, my portfolio is open to anyone to see. I have my speculative stocks. Those, if all of those go to zero, I mean, sure, I'll feel like a 10%.
Yeah, Fabio, you're freezing up, man.
Well,
the first two suggestions they give you when you're in a bear market is, first, not to panic buy, and second, not to panic sell. So this is applicable to what Fabio is saying, right? You have to hold your positions. If they're value plays, hold them. If you have ETFs, don't sell them, and don't go out and buy stuff that doesn't make sense.
I mean, there's deals in the market, even in a bull market. There's deals out there. There's companies that are selling under what they should be selling for, but everybody wants Tesla, and nobody wants a company that makes or waste management, for example. Nobody wants to look at that. But like, when you look at it, it's like waste management, you're always going to need people to take out the garbage.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not exciting. So people don't want to look at it. And me personally, I don't care, as long as I think I can get a good return on an individual stock. I don't care what you do. I prefer you have a strong moat. That's why I would love to buy the railroads 10 years ago when Buffett bought them.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, Burlington, I mean, because you're not making any new railroads. But so I don't know. It is hard. And it's the weirdest thing is, when people have been doing something for a while and they look at somebody who's new, and their ego they get their ego wrapped up in this. They go, well, I've been jumping from Workhorse to ChargePoint and I've 3,000x. You don't know what you're talking about. Value investing is dead. And you just, dude, all investing is value investing. Ultimately, you're trying to buy something for cheaper than trying to buy $1 for less than $1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't get why it's so hard for people to understand. I mean, you literally just, you do an analysis and, you bake in some conservative assumptions and then you wait for the buy point. Like, why is this so hard?
Because people
obviously,
are waiting, Chris, because people are waiting, are buying the company, are buying the promise of greatness and not actually the stock. They don't look at the stock. They just look at what the company does at the marketing, and that they have Elon there talking about Bitcoin and its products, but the company is not there yet. So.
Are you referring to La Tesla? You're gonna piss off Tom Nash, Alex.
He's watching. No, I'm gonna talk about that with Tom this afternoon. So let's see.
The thing is,
point of view.
But
you cannot buy the promise.
Our story.
Go ahead, Fabio. I was you point out that you cannot buy promise. You need to wait till the company gets there. But go ahead.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So like, I'll shill a stock that no one should invest in just because I mention it here. But it's a perfect example of how I'm honest as far as what the category is. Zillow Group. Zillow Group is just a speculation within my portfolio. All right. Look at it, what it has. It has a fantastic story. If you ask Kathy Wood, it's going to the moon, right? But the thing is, when I look at it, all it is just pure raw potential. That's what it is right now. Pure raw potential. There's no actual execution at the very moment, right? They are improving in some aspects, but then you see what I would say is, like, if you like the story, if you think it's an idea that you agree with, you have to be honest with yourself. What category is it in your portfolio? And if you dedicate too much capital to that, that's called permanent capital loss, something that you really don't want to happen to you. That's what Buffett actually means when he says don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. People like to quote him, but they don't actually follow that.
So like, how much of your portfolio do you keep in speculative stocks?
10%. And that's a rule I have so that I remove the emotion, because I'm human too. I'll find stocks that are super exciting, right? And I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. I think that could be the next blah, blah, blah. But if you don't put yourself or set rules ahead of time, I'm sorry if you guys hear that bird.
No worries.
But if you don't set rules ahead of time, you'll fall into those emotional traps. And if you're a robot, sure, you can avoid those. But if you're human, you're bound to do it. So I think that's kind of an important rule backdrop before you actually get into this. If you're new and you have that confidence curve thing, that's what I wanted to add before when you guys were talking about that. Remember the confidence curve. In the beginning, everyone thinks they're amazing, they know a lot. And then if they continue down the experience path, they'll have this, this dive down where they lose their confidence. And a lot of people give up there. That's usually in year 2, year 3 of investing. And then if they continue and they stick to it, they'll gain some confidence, but they'll never get to the same confidence as they had in the beginning, typically. So we'll see that a lot.
Confidence and trying something new. I'm actually still holding Neo because that was one of my biggest mistakes, or probably not. I will think.
Did you listen to Stockmo, Alex?
Once, yeah, when I was fairly new, and I thought, yeah, Neo is I think it has better not fundamentals, but a better way of doing the business compared to Tesla. I don't know. Let's see how that pans out, and probably because it's in China and the middle class is growing. And it's a mistake. I'll see if I can get out or dollar cost average.
I don't know how the Mexican capital gains loss system works, but you can always use it as to offset.
It is the same. If I sell
you could sell it and generate a capital loss and offset it.
I just have 15 stocks. Don't worry about it. It's a very small position.
By the way, so apparently Kathy Wood sold half of her Palantir position. Now, one thing I've noticed, every time a stock goes down, she freaking sells it. It's like, how can you possibly, paint yourself as a genius investor when you sell a stock after it freaking crashes? If you truly believe in the stock, you should be buying more. Of course, she does the exact opposite. Total freaking clown.
Well, I mean, at a certain point, her funds will implode. I mean, if she keeps going the way she's going, nobody knows when, but with all the financial engineering going on, but I don't know. My personal viewpoint is on it. People are so stubborn. If somebody introduces a new idea to me, I just shut up and listen. But so many people are so stubborn. I'm just like, God, I just hope this market crashes so I can look at people and just go, yeah, dude, see, you might want to buy companies that are turning a profit in the future and not gamble on unprofitable companies. And that's why you lost money. And that's why you're now down at the Brazilian lager camp.
Or in Tijuana.
They would enjoy that joke.
In the donkey show.
Yeah. I'm going to see Jeremy down there. So.
Getting interviewed by Bang Bros. How'd you find yourself in this situation? I bought a ton of Workhorse and tattoo. Yeah. Now I'm down here trying to get some extra money to buy VT.
I used to have $10 million, but now I'm here saving my ass.
So what is the donkey show at Tijuana? Is this like a real thing?
No, I don't think so. Well,
it's apocryphal, but according to legend, there's a certain donkey and a certain female that put on a show, and you can imagine what it is.
Oh my god, I don't want to have that image in my head.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jay. Could you describe that a little bit more?
Yeah, guys, if you're watching this right now, go and look up Mr. Hands on the internet.
No. Don't do it.
Thus
the payoff is not huge,
guys. The name of the portfolio, Mr. Hands' Lazy 2 Fund approach.
Yeah, I'll do a live reaction to it. You know, like I'll put like Jeremy in my thumbnail and like, you know, in the title, and then I'll just react to Mr. Hands.
Bro, I forgot. Yeah. I'm going to announce on my channel that since he's competing with VT, he now has to compete with my random one-night stand portfolio and my M1 Finance portfolio, where I used a random number generator to pick stocks. And it's up 30% over the past year and a half.
Yeah, so Jeremy, he kept showing the VT versus its stocks thing, and then he stopped showing it the last couple of videos. I wonder why he's done that. Probably because his stocks are getting freaking wrecked.
Bro, the one part of my portfolio in that M1 that I'm actually excited to do over years is the randomly picked one, just to show people how absurd it is. Because I actually think that portfolio of randomly picked stocks is going to do okay. I don't know that it'll beat the market, but I still think that dollar cost averaging into it, I'll give it a 5 or 6% return over the next 10 years on it.
What stocks do you have in your random portfolio?
Let me give me a
watch.
Corsair,
Palantir.
Yeah, I'm actually writing a video about Jeremy. So he bought Corsair when it was $39. Somebody actually sent me the link to his original freaking video. So like I actually took notes on like all his like points and arguments and like the timestamps. I'm gonna rip him a new butthole later today, and I can't wait. I was gonna do it this morning, but I was on baby duty, so I didn't have time.
Do you remember that? I don't know if anyone saw that when I made the video about Corsair. It was when it was higher, and then I gave off like a vague price point, and I got actually hated on that for that price point by viewers because it was like in the low 20s, right?
But you said it was 22.50. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly, and I got flack for that. That's why it's in the portfolio, because I said I would only buy a tiny position if it ever reached that, and people were saying, you know, it's never going to reach that, because the thing is, that was a classic value trap. And I mean, you had a lot of information on the internet with, you know, people, I guess, who are all saying the same thing. Watch out, it's going to slow down. A lot of demand was pulled forward. This growth is not going to continue. It wasn't some genius that predicted that. It was actually common understanding, common knowledge.
Yeah, it was common sense.
The market was pricing it for that.
Yeah, but it was we had lockdowns. The stock, they had a lot more revenue generated because everybody was buying their crap during the lockdowns. Of course, it was going to go down after the pandemic.
You were more generous than I was. I got like $15 for Corsair when
I said like at the max it was in the low 20s, because I think I said it in several videos that I think my actual price is like $13-14-ish, where it starts to become an interesting investment. But I think I said, like, if you're like asking the bare minimum and with good expectations, like you're probably being a little bullish on it, it's worth in the low 20s. And this was when it was in the high 20s.
Yeah, and I mean, everything money had it somewhere around 20. I was kind of bearish on the company. I was like, what is this? I'm like, you make computer equipment for gaming? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You have a super up here because everybody was locked down.
And if you look at it before the pandemic, it wasn't even profitable. Like I think 2018, 2019, it was like just on the cusp of becoming profitable. And then you watch Jeremy's video and he's like, oh my God, the revenue's growing 70% and it's so profitable just for that one freaking year. And then you can see it's starting to decline now because the pandemic is easing up and people aren't getting stimmy checks anymore.
All right. You guys ready? Here's my random portfolio. Extra space storage.
That's a good company.
AT&T, Travelers Company,
Another good company.
W. Granger,
I don't know what that
Lennar
is.
Corp,
Oh, Lennar.
Public Service Enterprise Group.
That's the
Verisign.
competitor to Waste Management.
Huh?
That's the competitor to Waste Management, the one Public Services.
Oh, don't tell Nate that.
Verisign, International Paper, Honeywell, Southwest, and here's the good one, PayPal.
Okay, here's the thing with PayPal. I mean, I have some payments that I have to go do internationally. I don't use PayPal to pay these people, to pay the employees I have. They just help me with some other things. But the point is, they don't want PayPal. They told me I don't want PayPal, so I use Wise instead. I have no affiliate link. I don't profit from that. I'm just like, as a consumer, I use Wise instead. I understand that some people like PayPal because it's so integrated in the United States. But like to send money and pay other people outside the United States, I use Wise, and then Stripe actually for accepting different kinds of forms of payment through a credit card, because it's so much cheaper if you just use those two services. So what's going to happen? I guarantee you, this is probably going to happen. PayPal is going to realize this, and no, I don't need chicken. And sorry about that. And
chicken tendies.
No, that is the staple. Oh, you want me to take a bite? Sure, I'll take a bite.
Oh.
Right,
now I'm hungry.
Fabio's a staple. Boss. He's got somebody freaking feeding him chicken.
Yeah.
That's
that's a cocktail, man.
You have to. By the way, everyone, if you ever go out on the water, chicken tastes like way better. It's weird. It's like I don't understand it. You eat it at home and you eat out like on the water. I think it's some sort of chemistry going on. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. PayPal, they're gonna have to lower their cut. I think that's coming, and then that's gonna be a shock to people because their margins are what they are because of the cut they're taking. And I'm telling you right now, when these people from Europe, which is where they're actually from, the continent, when I pay them, they said do not use PayPal. If I use PayPal, I have to pay them more because they take a huge cut. So I use Wise instead, because Wise takes a smaller cut because it's going to be commoditized. Same level of security, same ease. It's just one's charging more than the other. What's going to happen? Obvious answer is cut.
Yeah, that's the problem with PayPal. I mean, there's just so much competition now with all these different payment processors. I mean, yeah, it was basically the original online payment processor, but you got to look at the company's mode. I don't think it's as strong as people think.
It's not. That's why I still think I agree with Sven Carlin. Sven Carlin put out a nice video shouting him out, where he actually talked about these exact threats that I think people need to consider. Consider that in your evaluation. I'm not saying that's the right answer, but just consider it and then do your research on that aspect. And then if you're still interested, okay, that's your opinion. But yeah, you do want to not go in with like the blinders on. You want to understand what the heck is going on in the industry.
And funny enough, Jeremy's starting to buy PayPal. He said apparently it's easy.
I wouldn't touch PayPal right now.
No,
well, I forget what I calculated its intrinsic value at, but it wasn't a buy, or even it wasn't. I shouldn't say that because I don't use my sheet to actually just buy. It's at that point that I would do more research and see if I understand where it's going, but it's not even remotely. It wasn't for me in an area where I would consider saying, okay, now I'm going to go read the 10K and do other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the only big buy that I see that I would potentially consider buying is Facebook right now. I mean, I think that Facebook stock is a rational.
Well, yeah, I think it is too. I mean, I tell people all the time on Facebook, I go, I just have an irrational hatred of Facebook. And
I completely understand that.
And it's in the top 10 holdings in my index funds. So I'm like, you know what? I'll tell people, if you do your research and you think you're going to buy Facebook, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just not going to do it. Just because I think Mark Zuckerberg's a lizard person, to be honest with you.
Aren't you buying Facebook? Because he's a lizard.
Yeah, dude, because I've got my They Live glasses on and I can see what he is.
Dude, Meta's at $204 right now. I mean,
Well,
I can
Yeah.
see it dropping below 200, man. I mean, I think it's
well,
a steal.
Do you know what my
I mean,
intrinsic
dollar cost average in that position.
my
But what
intrinsic
is the biggest risk with Facebook? Yes, losing marketing profits and that the metaverse doesn't pan out. These are
Yeah.
the two main risks, right? Yeah. So
Well,
when I did my
I had
research, it was a good play.
I had Facebook at like 325 when it was at 380. What did you guys get it at?
I
'Cause I
haven't.
haven't recalculated it in a while.
So I have and I started doing this because it was requested, and you know what? There's no harm in me, I guess, doing this. It's just more transparency. So I actually started posting like my strategy plan of acquisition. When I get larger, I'm gonna remove that because I don't know, like I don't know what the future will
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
be careful.
no. So in fact, I actually I'm gonna talk to a lawyer to see if I should even not even do that, and if I can even do that, because then I have to apologize to the viewers because I know. It's the government. The government will not allow me, even though I'm not charging.
Dude, just put on there. This is entertainment. I want to see if I can beat the market. Don't follow me.
Yeah.
Just put a
That's what.
disclaimer like
Yeah.
that. This is
Even-
not
Yeah, put it like
financial
that.
advice. This is my opinion. I do this for fun. You need to do your own research.
Mhm.
That being said, I have Facebook at 323 or 325 bucks.
Fabio, do you have a disclaimer in your?
I have it
in your-
in all the videos, but
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, like, for example, I would never charge someone to see my portfolio. I don't need your money to do that. And
Okay.
I know that these other creators do. They're playing with fire. And then that's how they continue their grift. They take your money that you give them to see their portfolio, and then they grow their portfolios that way. It's
I need
really
to
funny.
do that with my portfolio.
You want to see my investments, guys?
Well, dude, we just had a guy. We just had a
But-
guy in the comments just say, "Oh, you guys don't have houses like Jeremy and all those guys." Let me tell you something about
I don't
that.
care.
Jeremy didn't break off his fans. His portfolio would be down, and he would be rightly living at his talent level with his shanty box outside of the tunnels in Las Vegas.
Dude, somebody commented on my video, one of my videos. They were like, Jeremy has 3 houses. How many do you have? And I was like, I have 1 because that's the house I live in. I don't need any more freaking houses.
He has
Hey,
three
so argue
houses.
with authority.
Chris, do we have Jeremy's dad?
Oh, yeah, Jeremy's dad's checking in. Where is he?
Where is
I'm
he?
actually going to have him
Yeah.
on here for an interview one day. I would love to hear more about Jeremy's past.
Dude, I would love to hear Jeremy's dad explain how he used to tie his son up and beat him with a rubber hose.
Hey, Fabio, Jeremy's dad has a question for you. He's trying to find Jessica LaFufu.
Jessica.
I
She's
love
not on.
Jeremy's dad.
That's what you mean by that. She's not definitely not here.
She wasn't the one feeding you the chicken?
No. That was actually a dude. Because my wife's on the
Okay.
other side. She that wasn't her. And she would kill a chick if she did that. So yeah.
Well, what if I fed you chicken? Would she still be?
Yeah, no, she'd be completely chill with that. She'd be
Okay.
completely chill with that.
Well, one day I'm going to feed you chicken on that boat.
Definitely come down to Orlando. When the weather's good and nice, we can do it.
I can't even go out on the water. I'm just so pale,
Oh,
dude.
you have
Dude, I fry in
Oh,
like
okay.
20 minutes in Florida in the direct sunlight, and I start to get burned.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm
Jake,
gonna
you
get
actually
burned.
look
By
tan.
the end.
Maybe it's the
Huh?
lighting. You
It's
actually
just
look
the lighting, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm mostly Scottish and Irish, man. And Scottish and Welsh. I'm sorry. So we don't do
Look.
well in the sun, man.
The summertime right here is absolutely insane. Your wife would not approve of you coming here during the summer. Let me just tell you that. The summer is ridiculous in this area. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's
I want to
let's
go.
get back to
Look at Fabio right now. It's freaking February, and he's got a wife beater on a boat.
Yeah.
Hey, also, guess what? No income tax. You can smell that.
Yeah,
No income tax.
rub it in, buddy. I pay almost
Yeah.
6% of my freaking income to Virginia, on top of federal. It's great.
Hey, but we pay for it in sales tax and in property tax. Property tax is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, but if you're cheap
So-
like me, I mean, how much sales tax are you going to be paying? You know,
Oh yeah, if you save your money, so it incentivizes you to actually save your money, because it's not like the government taking a cut off of your income, which is absolutely amazing. When they do that.
Yeah, it's 5.75% here in Virginia. And then I still have property tax. Obviously, I still have personal property tax. It's just...
I'm trying to convince my wife to go to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico capital gains tax, man. Oh, everything. That's why all the Bitcoiners are there. Yeah, that's why the Bitcoiners are all there. So
that's why Peter Schiff moved there to continue his grift.
Oh yeah.
Even though
amazing.
Even though listening to his podcast is a guilty pleasure of mine, because I'm like, does he talk? Why do you keep saying? Like, I get it. In actual economic theory, you're right, but this is the real world and you're not.
Yeah, it's just that it depends on how you kind of like view his statements, because he's obviously going off of inflation being the traditional definition, right, which is expansion of the monetary supply. But I just disagree with him, and he keeps saying that the Fed's printing money, the government's printing money. It's like, they're not printing money. Borrowing money has different effects than printing money. If you want to see printing money, go see my home country, Venezuela. That's printing money. That's what you do. That's what happens when you do that. The United States hasn't done that yet. Oh,
I don't think we'll ever get there.
My bar just went
we're
down.
so developed. I mean, stuff like that happens in like less developed.
It does, but I think one of the biggest problems with the debt is going to be a stranglehold. Look, once debt gets to a certain point, it really does start affecting everything else. You look at Japan, and what are they at? Like 200% of GDP in debt or more? We're going there.
Have you been reading Dr. Lacey Hunt?
No. Why?
That's exactly his point. His point is public debt has a negative multiplier on growth of GDP. And so if you ascribe to that, or you see that going in the past, as the public debt continues to increase, the multiplier on growth on the economy globally in the developed world will continue to decline and decline. Hence, what has happened in Japan, what's happening in the United States. I mean, remember, everyone's quoting that we've had the worst recovery, blah, 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 blah. Well, why do some people think that is? Some people ascribe it to, party lines, but other people like Dr. Lacey Hunt will point to, the increase in the public debt. Private debt has another interesting effect, but I won't get into that. I don't want to turn this into an economics.
Yeah,
I don't want to bore people, because then people will be like, boring.
Like, you also have to look at the state debt too. Like, states are indebted, pension funds are indebted, the federal government's indebted, local governments are probably indebted too. I mean, if you actually look at the total U.S. economy, including states, I mean, we spend a lot of money in taxes, number one, and number two, we're still in massive freaking debt and going in, having huge deficits. So,
well, dude, when people like, you listen to politicians talk in America, like AOC, and they talk about a strong social safety net, the United States spends per capita on entitlements about the same level as Europe.
Yeah. Like, we have a lot of programs. We have Medicaid for poor people. We have Medicare for old people. We have Social Security for old people. We have unemployment benefits, federal and state. I mean, there's just so much freaking crap that we have. People act like we have nothing here, which is stupid.
And what, I mean, I don't know if this is a very popular statement, but I'll say it, and if everyone hates me for it, I'll fine. But the evidence shows, I guess, so far that the public sector is definitely not good at allocating resources. And in fact, the programs, I think, are quite obvious to some that they're very unsustainable. The evidence to point to is that we are in continual deficit and continuously borrowing. Unless you are of the camp that says you can borrow infinitely with zero consequence. Not print money. I don't believe that. Zero consequence. Print, but borrow. Exactly. I don't believe that either.
It's a bastardization of Keynes. That's where they got this idea. And the idea was the government spends during a contraction and then reduces spending during an expansion. And then it somehow turned into, we own the printer. We can print as much money as we want. Well, that works until it doesn't. There is a point where that doesn't work anymore.
And here's the biggest problem.
Works living below your means.
Exactly. But here's the biggest problem with all that. It's human lives are too short So how long does the human lifespan on average? If you're lucky, you get 100, right? But the governments, countries, they're like I like to kind of call them they're like a big ship. So the wheel takes a long time to turn. So consequences take a long time to show up. And so people like to say that, oh, there's nothing, this thing won't have effects, and it doesn't have effects for 20 years. But then, like, for example, the Gen X, they live their whole lives with these low interest rates. Interest rates have been going down almost their entire lives since they were, in their teens. They grew up in the 80s, right? They were like adults in the 80s, I'm saying. I know the millennials were the ones who were in the 80s, but they were like teenagers having kids or starting to have kids in the 80s and 90s. And they live their whole lives with interest rates coming down, right? So they don't know what it's like to live in a rising interest rate environment. They have no idea. And then, like, look at me. I definitely have no idea. But, like, what all of us have to do is understand that we live very short lives, and we have to supplement our short lives with trying to understand longer term cycles, I guess, and not be surprised by them. Don't try to time it, but don't be surprised by it, right?
Fabio, what about the silent generation?
Sorry?
What about the silent generation?
They lived through. Well, they're dying off. They lived through the Depression, so they have a memory of that.
Yeah.
Tell us, Jay.
Yeah. Well, they're the ones who are usually the doom and gloomers. Have you heard of doomers?
Yeah.
The term doomer? Yeah. Doomers, yeah. Boomers. So those people, we just call them doomers. Yeah, exactly. They're saying all this is bad, blah blah blah, and you say, oh, you're just a doomer, right? That's a youth term, I guess. But
man, I'm definitely a Tesla doomer then.
Well, a doomer is someone who is kind of like just gloomy in general about society, where it's going. That's what you're not a doomer. You're probably a Tesla skeptic.
I'm actually a huge optimist. Like, that's why
exactly. Definitely not a doomer.
That's why I buy index funds, and I don't care, because I think the world's going to be a better place in 30 years. But if you thought the world was going to decline, yeah, maybe you should look elsewhere besides index funds. Maybe.
Guys, I have a question for you, all of you. Have you singled out one company with a big moat? I have one, Lockheed Martin. Well, it has a big moat, but I don't know if you have any other choices.
Oh yeah, I got some that some people might not even think about. So all of for now, Visa, MasterCard, largest moats ever. Like, those margins you'll never see on another company ever again.
But it's just because I say pick it up can you pick it up for the right price? I'd love to own Visa if it got irrationally undervalued.
Yeah, I was looking into it also, actually.
The moment to buy was the spin-off day when they spun out of Bank of America and everyone was bearish on financials and didn't understand what the heck Visa and MasterCard even were.
It's on every freaking credit card. Oh, what is it?
Yeah, exactly. No. And those two companies, you look at their margins, they're just beautiful. They're the most beautiful margins I've ever seen in my life. And if technology changes, blah, 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 then their moat's going to come down. So it's not like a perfect world. You got to watch out for that. Another one that has really good moats is the primary dealers for banking. Very unorthodox pick, but not saying they're a pick, by the way. That's wrong term. But interesting or unorthodox one to point out. Yeah, primary dealers, because that's a lot of regulation, a lot of moat. They always want more regulation. Notice that. The big banks, they're like, please, more regulation. Regulate our industry more. All you're doing is setting up moats.
Yep, that's.
Why do you think Buffett buys them?
Why do you think? Why do people think that the tech world is coming in saying, "Oh no, please regulate us"?
Yeah,
that's moat. Because it gets in. It also gets into a smaller company can't comply with the amount of money to hire people that understand what the laws are, which also creates another moat. So it's like Facebook has infinite money to sit there and comply with whatever stupid regulations some bureaucrat thinks up. But if I start a social media company tomorrow, I don't have the money for that.
No, you don't. Because, so like in some countries, if you want to be global, you got to hire people to regulate content. You have to, because it's even obviously, United States has. We think we're going whatever direction, blah blah blah. But the Europe or other nations, let's say, they have more egregious restrictions on speech online. And if you're Facebook, you have the money. But if we all start a social media company and we want to do business globally, we got to be huge already. We got to afford to hire tons of people who are just there, just watching content and just removing it. It makes it. Yeah.
The CEO of YouTube was sitting there going, well, we would like it if countries would just, write into laws what we have to do. And I don't know whether she's anti-free speech or just doing what she has to do, because it becomes a sticky issue with the government where you're like, in some cases where people got on GoFundMe, yeah, they tried to steal the truckers' money, but what do you think they were going to do when they started getting threatened by the Canadian government? A lot of this is needlessly caused by the government. Microsoft, back in the late 90s, they didn't have representatives in Washington until they got invested for monopolistic practices, which then they said, oh, we got to go and pay these corrupt bureaucrats to keep off our back.
Yeah, it's natural.
But for investors, a monopoly is the best thing, man. Think about it. The richest people on earth have in one point or another invested in companies that were a monopoly or were the biggest owners of shares in these companies. So
you still got to be careful because people. It's already priced into a lot of these companies that they are monopolies.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
I have a good case study. All right. Actually, this is a very recent case study. So I like to point it out as often as I can because it actually fits a lot of these lessons. So one sector that I was very bullish on because of I think I spoke about this before in the past. Depending on who won the election in the United States, I had two different portfolios. If Biden won, I was basically primarily focused on oil and gas, large oil and gas majors, and then one Russian one. Okay, but the reasons for that, again, a lot of the core premise was if regulation sentiment comes down for oil and gas in the United States, oil and gas being a commodity, that's the only way to actually cause price to go up. If capex reduction comes in the United States, restrictions come in the United States, because the United States was the one kind of messing that up for the world, for all these big oil majors. Again, if you look at when the United States started doing the shale production, all these the big ones, they all started coming down because basically they had no control over this production. It was kind of like a lot of competition came online. And that's a beautiful way of looking at it. It's a good case study of when regulation came in and hit, it really benefited the big boys and their profits just went up. Price of gasoline went up. It's not even so much that regulations came in. Sentiment matters, guys. So sentiment for capital investment in the United States took a beating, right, for oil and gas. And that's all these production lines that are just down or not making necessary investments now. So we're in an interesting situation, but all those companies are doing fantastic right now. You look at all of them. If you bought small, tiny ones that were concentrated in the United States, or if you were private, usually they were private actually, you're not having fun. This is not okay. But if you're the big boys, ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Gazprom, Saudi Aramco, you're having the time of your life because you make production outside of the United States. You were doing capex necessary over there, blah, blah, blah. You don't care about this. In fact, you're probably not, you are benefiting from it. So that's another great example. Regulation, awesome.
Hey, Fabio, we're getting some complaints from the chat. When you're not talking, just mute your mic.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
I'll be back.
What is going on here? Everybody's leaving?
Oh, I'm back. Did I cut off?
Huh?
Yeah, did you hear me, Fabio? When you're not talking, mute your mic. You're super loud. Can you hear me? Hello? Fabio.
He's not Fabio.
Yeah, I'll kick him off for a second until he fixes it. I'll wait till Alex gets back, and then I'll go take a piss.
Yeah, because I got to take one too.
Yeah, we all have to piss at the same time. It's like magic.
These nuts. We already talked about What do you want me to say about hyperinflation?
I'm so sick of the freaking hyperinflation crap. It's like there's not going to be hyperinflation.
I mean, it's possible, but it becomes down to, is it likely? I mean, that's what it always comes down to. It's possible that Smile Direct Club becomes the largest company in the world. Is it probable? I don't think it is, man. I mean, yes, I understand that we're coming out of the pandemic and people are taking their masks off, so they probably want Invisalign. But I just don't exactly agree with the bull thesis on it.
That was the best argument I have ever heard to buy a stock. Don't worry about the financials. Don't worry about anything. Just once people stop wearing masks, everybody's going to go to Smile Direct Club.
Kevin gave us 99 cents, or gave you 99 cents.
Kevin, you're getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. You're just mocking me now with these weak super chats.
Dude, you should just retire on that 99 cents.
I'm thinking about it. See, like, yeah, YouTube will get its cut, and then I'll have to pay taxes on it, and then boom, I can just retire off my 50 cents of Tindies.
All right.
I'm going to take a piss now. Goodbye.
Go ahead.
Smile for my cock club who's in.
Sorry, by the way, what were you guys saying? Because, you know, the connection's kind of like coming in, it's coming out.
Oh,
they were just saying that it was background noise a little too loud.
Yeah, the people in the background that are having a good time. That when they just said when you're not talking, turn off the mic, and then when you are, just come back in. Obviously. Because, I mean, right now you're the king of the world on the bow of that boat. The only thing you're missing is Kate Winslet. Drop her in the water and sharks will come along and eat her like that Australian guy.
Jay, are you doing any more reaction videos on someone specifically? Other than Chris?
I will. I'm going to start doing them. It's one of the things that it annoys me about YouTube is you almost have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, my reaction videos to a lot of these guys, they get more views than when you're like
doing
cash flow on whatever company. So it's like, okay, I guess I'll do this. As much as people think that I do, I don't actually really enjoy crapping on people that much. I do it sometimes and I'm extremely harsh because they're giving advice that's Chris Sane is going to lose a lot of people money.
Mm-hmm.
You
All
know,
of them.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get stocks right. Everybody is, but I mean, he has no process. I don't know where he comes up from. Like, just have a process and a logical thought behind why you're coming up with a value, and then I don't care. But it's also, you know, when you look at the amount of money that certain people are charging for Patreon, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Stockmo, as bad as I think his advice was, if he was charging like $5 for his Patreon, I wouldn't say anything about it. Because, I mean, the dude has what, like $500 a month?
Really, that much?
Patreons? I mean, that's maxing your Roth IRA for the year with low-cost index funds. And, I mean, over time, like I said, it's already been shown that he's picking garbage stocks. So yeah, I'll probably be doing more reaction videos, but
I'm with you in that sense. My reaction video to Jeremy the Pupus got a lot of views, and I actually had to be very, very careful because here our Mexican legislation only give us the chance to react to certain parts of the video, and you have to put in the source of the original video. So yeah, I have to be very careful, but I'm thinking of doing more in my own style. Obviously, I'm not as good as Chris when it comes to reactions, or even you, Jay. I don't know. Fabio does them also, but in a different manner.
You should be proud of that. That means you're not an asshole. Jay.
I want to because these guys get on my nerves. They really sell crap, and they have to be penalized in some way. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen, but it's just a matter of time. But we need to keep people aware of all these scams and situations. It's crazy. You know, we need to be
Well,
more responsible with what we do here.
I mean, it's almost like with what is it, alpha stock status. At least I can look at those guys and go, well, they're pushing penny stocks. But I look at stock. I mean, there's no fundamentals ultimately for penny stocks, anyways. But it's like Stockmo is out there, like I said, pushing workhorse in NIO. Not that I would have to go look at NIO again, but I mean, he's just going to end up losing people a lot of money. And it's the fact that he's charging people money for this crap that annoys me, really. Trying to figure out what his Patreons are, how much. Because I thought one of them, the top tier, was $500.
No, so I just want a quick admin note. If y'all keep spamming in the freaking comments like the same thing 5 times, I'm gonna mute you for 5 minutes. This is the warning. And then if you keep doing it, I'm freaking banning you.
Yeah.
You're on timeout, Buster. There you go.
Who'd you put in timeout?
The dude, he spammed that like 5 times.
Okay, so I was wrong about Stockmo, but it's still $100 a month at his
for
at his top
advice.
tier. And I mean, when you think about it, that's $1,200 a year. That's all. I mean, for some people who think that this dude knows what he's talking about, if they're in a lower income bracket, oh, dude, this guy called you Chris Belly.
Chris Belly. Yep, you called me at 5 times, so you're on timeout too.
Yeah, but I mean, so what? If you're a young dude and you're just starting out and you think Stockmo knows what he's talking about, and I mean, $1,200 could be the entire amount of money that you put into your tax advantaged account for the year.
Honestly, I feel like Stockmo has an older audience. I don't see how he appeals to a younger generation. I mean, the guy has no charisma, and he just doesn't. I don't think he understands the younger generation at all.
What do you tell him?
Jay, well, guys, all of you, is that when you come into YouTube and you're brand new to the stock market and you don't know anything, you want advice, then what you're gonna get? You're gonna get these big channels. You're not gonna get a small channels like us. So you start listening to all these messages and think, yeah, NEO might be a good growth stock and it will go to the moon or whatever. And Tesla is the same thing. And you see everyone talking about Tesla, NEO, Palantir, Corsair, whatever. But you don't realize that these companies are trash until you get into the fundamentals and you know how to value these fundamentals and how to gauge the numbers. But before that, you got all this crap into your system. And the only way to get it out is to have education. And for example, here in Mexico, it's very, very hard for people to understand what is a hype stock about. Well, it's a wrong terminology, but what is a good company and a bad company, and to let them know that Tesla is crap, because they see Tesla and they see Elon Musk and they think, well, this is the new Leonardo da Vinci, is the next best thing out there. So how do you deal with this with education? And unfortunately, our channels are very, very small yet. Well, Chris is growing very fast. I think
it's not just Mexico, man. It's freaking.
Yeah, I know it. But at least in America or in Canada and in Europe, you have more educated, financially educated people.
No, dude, I actually disagree. I think in the U.S., like the financial education here is freaking hot trash. I mean, even like apparently, I don't know if it was Fabio or somebody that mentioned this, but even at a business school, they had like a club where they just talked about speculative hype trash.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody here really is a value.
Oh yeah.
Was that you? Was that you, Fabio?
Yeah, he did it. It was before Tom came to our
Hey, Alex, you might want to turn off your camera. You're kind of like really breaking up.
I know.
Oh, me?
Yeah, your camera's like you break. I would turn it off. You probably come in better. There we go. All right, go ahead, Fabio. Were you gonna say something, Fabio?
No, it's just I was trying to convince this kid I know. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I was trying to tell this kid I know to start a new club because that club is just so egregious. I'll call them out, the Young Investors Club. Most egregious club I've ever seen in my life. And they have the mission statement to help people with their, investing, right? To build wealth. Absolutely egregious club. I sat through one meeting because I was curious because this kid is Austin's little brother, by the way. He invited us on campus. And we all sat in the back and we just watched the lesson they gave. Very disappointed.
What school is this?
Wow, should I give it away? It's a University of Central Florida.
Oh, yeah. I was guessing it was going to be that one because that's a freaking huge school.
Yeah. And I was telling him, you need to start your own club. I'll sponsor it. I'll do whatever is necessary to get it out because like that, it's too much. They're telling kids to buy and sell stocks, and this guy goes to the camera, not the camera, the front of the classroom. He's like, when it goes up, this is good. When it goes down, this is bad. Like that's the level. And then they sell these books at the end that are almost 100. Like I don't know how much they are, so I'm not actually going to quote a number. But they're selling these books at the end of the sessions, and they're telling that these books are going to make them really good investors and stuff like that. So
like, was the book
really
offered
egregious
by the club, or is it just like some?
No. It's some guy who does day trading for a living.
Oh Jesus Christ, man! I need to start going to colleges. Do some entertainment, sell some strong. Stop being a broke loser.
I went to
which I bought the book. I have it. I just don't have it on the boat because for obvious reasons. I'm not gonna.
Hey, if you want more chicks on your boat, you got to have "Stop Being a Broke Loser" on there.
I'll give them each a copy.
Dude, I went.
That's the incentive to come on. You want to come on? You get a book.
Dude, I went to.
Spanish. sorry, James.
I'll turn your camera off, man. You're
Sorry, man. I thought it was.
Dude, I went to an online trading academy. I went to one of their Saturday classes.
Well, what is that? Was that at your school?
No, it's a company that basically tells people, like when they were sitting in there, this guy goes, I was a stockbroker, and he starts talking about how dumb it is to invest in index funds. Then he starts talking about doing Forex trading in there. So I walked around on break and I tried to tell every single person in there, I'm like, this is a scam. They charge people like $15,000 to go through their curriculum.
That's cheap.
Basically, like Jeremy basically took the online trading academy and he took their model and ported it over.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I've never heard of them. I might need to look into that. That's ridiculous. And like are they appealing to like, average people, or is it like,
basically they're appealing to average people's ignorance. Because I was sitting in there
grand. Like the average person probably doesn't have 15 grand laying around.
I was sitting there telling people in there, I go, you should walk away. When we went on break, I go, the fastest way to build wealth is to max your tax advantage account at work. The reason I say that is because in a bull market like today, isn't it magical how many stock market experts there are that weren't even trading 6 months ago?
Yeah, it's a little shocking.
Well, not to roast on them anymore, but here's another thing. The leader of this thing, he's like, oh yeah, I've been trading for about a year, since 2020. And then he says, he's honest, but I thought it was absolutely hilarious, his honesty. He's just like, I've traded 70 times last year. I keep track of all my trades, and I've only lost 4%. I'm just like, what? What are you doing? Why are you
How much was the market up that year? Like 10%, 20%?
Yeah, something in the 20s. And I'm just like, why are you up there? I know he's like the president of the club or whatever, and then this kid, it was hilarious. Austin was the one who went up, and he's still like, he looks like he could be a student, and he goes and he like asks, he's like, hey, you guys like do options? And then the guy pointed to this one kid standing in the corner. He's like wearing glasses, and he's like, yeah, that's our options expert over there. He day trades options. Oh yeah, you're you're laughing about. Yeah, that's funny.
Hey, is Austin on the boat?
No, he's not on the boat. He couldn't make it. He does music on the side, and he's actually has a gig right now. So yeah, unfortunately, but he comes on here now and again. Yeah.
Hey Fabio, do you use options to trade?
Okay, I use options occasionally to produce extra income. Is there someone behind me? Oh, because they're waving.
There's an alligator.
He's just a gator. It's not a big deal.
And the bulls are coming for you. They know you're drunk and vulnerable.
No, I use options to increase my income occasionally. I did that I guess the jig is up. I owned Palantir in the past. Just the jig is up. But I do it for some extra income. I'll do it to hedge a position now and again, but not really. I don't typically like to buy calls. I bought calls, and my brother Renato, you still own your position?
Yes, I do still.
Okay. Well, we bought when we went on a vacation. We bought Nokia calls, but this was before the hype. This was when was it? November 2020, when it was in $4-3 like that. And then it got hyped to absolute ridiculousness. And he had I'll say the number. Are you okay with me saying the number? Yeah. Okay. So he had $800 in call options, which I think was 10 contracts, and then it went from that to $50K in a day because of these maniacs, right? Yeah. And the SEC paused. No, he couldn't sell. He's up. No, the SEC paused it. It was a jink in the market. But it was just funny. It was just a funny day because he woke up and he starts screaming and he calls me. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm up 50K." It was an $800 position, so of course he's excited. But the SEC paused it and he couldn't get out. But he's still up. Renato, what are you up?
Oh, it's
100-something%. So it's modest investment.
Nice.
And it allowed him to get exposure to something that he thought was mispriced for less money. But were you okay with losing all your money?
Yeah.
Because you're also having the time frame. Yeah. He's learning. He has the private lesson.
Because I asked you, Fabio, because here in Mexico, people are trying to understand options, and I always recommend them to just keep it simple and buy VT and just hold it. But probably it's a good way to make more income if you know what you're doing, right?
Most people should not touch options with a 10-foot pole. I'm being legit. Most people should not touch options with a 10-foot pole. You have to understand what options are. They're a derivative, so they go up more than what the underlying asset will go. That's the basics, right? But you have to understand options are a good way of putting less capital on something that you might think will occur, but you have to understand that you have time risk. You have that's a simple way of saying it, the vocab term. Time is not on your side with an options trade. And so that added risk you have to account for. So it's okay if you have a huge portfolio and then you have some speculations based on a time frame that you think will go, and you don't want to actually put that much capital down on that quote unquote investment. But when we're putting in time, it's actually more accurate maybe to sometimes say speculation. Because when you're buying common stock, you have time on your side. Time's not actually against you, unless it's a crap company. Time's against you because they're deleting value from their business. But it's a good way of hedging. All right, but most people stay away.
Okay, thanks, man.
Oh, were you gonna say something, Jay? I was like,
no.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Yeah, well, I know all from Everything Money. He sells put options, so he can collect the premium, and he can buy. He'll basically, if his contract gets exercised, he's forced to buy the stock at whatever strike price that he sold the put option at. So, I mean, he can definitely, you can definitely do that if you have enough money sitting around to do that. But a lot of brokers require you, I think all of them require you to have cash on the sidelines in case you get exercised. So I would rather just have my money fully invested as opposed to just having cash sitting there. Oh, maybe I'll be able to buy this stock at a good price if I get exercised.
You do have to be careful. I always like to say, nuance really matters. So it depends on what the market for that stock's options are. So for example, I'll say my brother, when we were engaging that quote unquote trade, the market they were very cheap, extraordinarily cheap for the quantity and anything. I'm not getting into that. It's not an options lesson, but they're like some stocks you want to do that with puts, sure, but maybe the premiums aren't good enough, right? And then you're better off sometimes, or a lot of times, right? He makes it sound so simple, is what I'm trying to get at. But you want to make sure the premiums are adequate to compensate you for that risk, because otherwise you would have been better off just holding the cash and waiting for it to come down, and you would make a lot more money. So you got to be careful with that. It's not so easy. Easier said than done is the best phrase for that. But yeah, with nuance, every single stock, depending on what the options market's looking like for them, it could be good or bad. So like some instances, when we were looking at buying puts, so basically in other ways, shorting companies, sometimes the premiums are ridiculous and you don't want to do that. So it just depends. And then that could be the market, the time we're in the market, because sentiment drives a lot of these premiums. So I haven't checked Tesla's, but I think Tesla's puts are pretty expensive.
I can imagine why.
Yeah. Dude, I'm going to answer this. Ryan wants to know which is better, Roth or 401k. It depends on what's available to you, man. Because my 401k through work has a Roth option. And it also depends on how much. I would recommend everybody use the Roth, but you can make an argument for the traditional. So it just depends on what your employer offers. But what you should do is tax advantage count through work, and then a Roth outside of your 401k. Max that was $6,000.
Yeah, here's like, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna say it very broadly because it's not tax advice or anything like that. And Chris, cut in here at any moment. But the best strategy that some people pursue is, and this was basically how I understand it. So that's being very careful how I say it. Do not do this without talking to your tax professional.
I'm watching you, boy.
Exactly. But they want to lower their income with the regular variance in the meantime. So because you can lower your taxable income because it acts as a deduction, and then later down the line, right? Hopefully you're in a lower tax bracket, and then you can do like a switch to the Roth variance of these accounts, and you pay a one-time tax fee at that moment. So you have to like optimize and plan it. But you're right, like, because the end game is the Roth variance, and if you don't want to deal with that, yeah, just go into that. But I know that there is a limit to your income where you cannot contribute to the Roth, at least the Roth IRA. I know that, and I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I think it's over $100,000, $125,000, something like that. And I know you start getting limited into how much, and then at some point it goes to zero. And so those people are actually forced to do this switch strategy later down the line.
Yeah, it's called the backdoor Roth, where if you have too high an income, you contribute to the traditional, and then there's like a loophole in the tax code where you can distribute from the traditional and convert it into a Roth and pay the taxes up front. And there's all sorts of strategies, like you can convert part of the traditional each year, because whatever money you take out of a traditional, that's automatically added to your income. So it can put you in a higher tax bracket. So you got to be really careful when you're doing these conversions. But yeah, people do that all the time because the Roth is superior, in my opinion, especially if you're a normal average worker. You pay the tax up front and you're in a low tax bracket, and boom, in 20, 30 years and you retire, you take the money out. It doesn't, affect your income at all. You don't pay any taxes.
This guy is just really quick. Could you explain what do you mean a tax advantage account, please? It's just your retirement account. So just think of a Roth or a traditional account as a cookie jar that you put cookies in. So the Roth is taxed up front, and then at 59.5, you can take your money out of there. You don't have to pay taxes on it. The traditional, you pay your taxes when you take it out. So it grows in there tax-free versus a brokerage account, which your capital gains and all that, it's subject to taxation. When you get to a certain point, it's going to start affecting your tax liabilities.
Yeah, go watch my. I have a video where I have a target retirement fund and a taxable account. Every year, I get out dividend distributions and capital gains distributions, and I have to pay tax on that. And then when I sell this account in 20 or 30 years, I'm going to have massive capital gains, assuming the market does well. And I'm going to get a massive freaking tax bill, and it's going to bump me into a higher tax bracket. But if you have stuff sheltered inside a Roth or traditional, you can buy and sell in there. Your dividends aren't taxed. Your capital gains distributions aren't taxed. So you actually make way, way, way more money as long as you get it into a tax advantage account.
Peter Thiel.
I will add.
Peter Thiel. He's a billionaire. His money is inside a tax advantaged account. So he has like $1 billion inside of a Roth.
I will just add, you got to talk to your tax professional about your situation about MLPs in the tax advantage account, because I know that they are absolutely, for lack of a better term, complicated. In those tax advantage accounts, because I think there's some sort of thing that they can do when they give you money that actually is not covered in the tax advantage account. So they usually, you can go on Investopedia. This is just public information. Just look up Investopedia and look up MLPs and tax advantage accounts. They'll kind of walk you through complications. I don't even know of any MLPs that are goodbye, by the way. So, so it doesn't matter. But like, yeah, there's like that one caveat about tax advantage accounts. There's this one kind of entity, master limited partnerships, by the way, if I didn't already say what the acronym means.
Yeah, the MLPs, that's a different tax liability. I don't understand what it is. I would need like a CPA accountant, as they're called.
Certified.
Certified CPA.
Fabio, are you drinking For Loco, man?
Am I drinking what?
For Loco?
No, never. I'm drinking Blue Point, which is a like a little craft beer that they sold at the local Publix. So I actually, my favorite beer is Guinness, for those of you who are curious.
Yeah.
I'm a stout man.
Dude,
yeah,
I love Guinness.
Ew.
I love it
okay.
as an Irish car bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The one who converted me was Austin. Austin converted me to Guinness. And I was never a beer guy. And I'm not, and if I go with hard liquor, it's whiskey or bourbon. But yeah, no. As far as beer, it's a stout. And then if nothing else is on the boat or wherever I am, I'll go with a Stella or a Yingling.
Dude, I don't know if we talked about this. You like Lagavulin, Fabio?
The what?
You like Lagavulin?
No, I've never had it.
Lagavulin.
Remember, I'm still.
If
I'm
you
still
like
technically
smoky,
fresh to the new game.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, it's amazing. It's better than 18-year-old Jameson.
All right, you'll have to email me or message me somewhere on Instagram or something, or get Chris can give me my phone number and just text me the name and all.
Yeah, I'll
be
tell
sure
you. But I'm going to tell you this: it's a smoky, peaty Scotch.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well,
I mean, I like the whole family. I like the whole family. It's good. I want to broaden my taste buds in that world. And my wife got me this bottle container that has my name on it and everything. I gotta fill it up with stuff right now. So, yeah.
Do you guys ever drink mezcal?
I have.
No.
I've drank it like a couple times before.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm not like a big consumer of it.
I love it. I prefer it to tequila. I think the flavor is way better. A little stronger, but it has good notes. And
I don't even know how you guys drink liquor anymore, man. Like I'm 32 now. Once I hit like 29, 30, I could not drink liquor because my hangovers got so freaking bad that they took me out in like 2 days.
I don't drink them to get drunk. I'll drink them it's like 1 finger or 2 fingers worth of and no ice, because that's how you actually taste the flavor of it. And what's the one that you always give me, Arturo? The bourbon. Yeah, the bourbon that you love. Woodford Reserve. Yeah, Woodford Reserve. Yeah, I always forget the name for some reason. Woodford Reserve is another good one that my buddy always brings over. But different ones from that. That's a brand. That's like a broad brand. I know that.
Yeah, I remember one day after work, I had 1 or 2 glasses of whiskey and I smoked a cigar, and I was just annihilated the whole next day. And my wife and I actually planned to go to like this like retro 1920s, dance thing. I had to go like super late because I could not function or move until like 8 p.m. at night. It was that bad. And it wasn't that much liquor. I mean, it was
2 drinks.
You were annihilated.
Dude, I don't know what happened. Like some days I can drink and get super hammered and I'm fine. But I don't know what happened that day. It was probably the cigar.
Let's all go to Miami, Club 11. You just got to get permission from the wives. We'll bring them. Club 11.
Okay.
It's just kind of like a meme. It's a club that's open 24/7. It's kind of more of a strip club, if anything, but people treat it like a club. We'll bring our wives, and
Bro, I'm
I just want to see you in that environment.
I mean,
It's all good.
it's so good, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've been to a strip club in a long time because the ones around here are complete trash. But
No. So it is technically one, but people don't treat it like that. People treat it like a regular old club. Like a lot of couples go there, and you get a table or you don't get a table. It's weird. It's famous in Miami. If anyone in the chat's from Miami, you guys know what Club 11 is. It's not like a nice club, but you know,
most of
it's the people know.
most of
where
the
I
strip.
live, where I
Go
live,
ahead.
it's one of the major cities in Mexico, actually, but it's an ultra-conservative city, so we don't have a strip clubs. You gotta go to a different state. Well, I don't like strip clubs actually, but you need to go. It's an ultra-conservative. Well, Fabio, you probably know it. Know that the state is Querétaro. Well, it's just
Well,
a little side note.
Alex, I mean, after that George Clooney documentary about that strip club in Mexico with the vampire, I doubt really a lot of people want to go to strip clubs in Mexico because Salma Hayek, when she's got a boa constrictor around her, turns into a vampire.
Yeah, that was in Tijuana, man.
What's going on, boys?
Who was this dog that joined our live stream?
Protecting loses till rescue. What's up, Tom? See you in half an hour.
We have. So I just want to pump our little interview in an hour and 20 minutes on Alex's channel. So if you guys want to hear me more, we're going to do that on Alex's channel. I'm here to basically. I have a story to tell you. So nobody knows this.
Hey, but before you explain, me, Kevin has a question for you.
Yes.
Holy smokes, is that
I'm gonna invade fucking Ukraine myself at this point. I'm done with this back and forth.
driving the tank right now?
Bro, I said this to my wife just the other day. She's not Russian, neither Ukrainian, so she doesn't understand it completely. And I said to her, I think at this point he's enjoying the ego trip of dicking the stock market around because he knows it fucks with Biden. People get upset. So he's basically going to keep doing this shit again and again and again until he wears them out. At this point, he doesn't even give a shit about Ukraine. At this point, look, we're hanging on every word he says. Like, look at what's going on in the stock market. He's got it. Like, either he has puts on the S&P 500, that motherfucker, he might have, or he just enjoys the ego trip.
Well, dude, I think Putin is making. I've said this before. I think I don't actually agree with the United States trying to take the moral high ground here. It's like, okay, dude, I've said this before, and I use this example. The United States would not allow Russia to put assets in Canada or Mexico. But essentially, that's what we're doing with NATO. And they wonder why Putin's clapping back. Not to defend Putin. I know he's a bad guy, but to get a certain point, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Look, Putin is just misunderstood.
I don't think that's the case, Fabio. I know you look like a drug dealer in the water right now, but I gotta push back on that, bro.
Dude, I'm just waiting for the alligator to jump out of the water and rip his head off.
That T-shirt though, the shirt is like that shirt says I'm a drug dealer, and that's me, bro. And
Dude,
the boat.
what you guys don't know right now is Fabio's on Norman K. About to run some cocaine into the United
I had a
States.
different shirt planned out for today, but the wife just no, you're not wearing that shirt. It just said aloha. Oh, that's all it said. So I'm wearing this freaking white shirt now. Bland. It's not flavorful. I would never wear this normally.
He won't dress
I'm
up for
missing
my
the
live
chain.
stream, but he'll dress up for his wife.
I have some private information for you guys. So I've been made aware of a conversation that happened, and Chris knows this. We talked about it in private chat private conversation between Alex Karp and Peter Thiel as the market closed on Friday. So apparently, Alex was screaming at Peter Thiel, basically saying, "Look what God did to us!" And then Peter said, "Well, it wasn't God, it was you, you stupid fuck." But it's actually a line from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Some of you may remember that movie, some of you don't, but it's one of my favorites of all time. It had
Tom,
Benicio del Toro.
How much are you charging for your ass now that Palantir has been down so much?
Bro, I don't know. I might have to change my rates. But hey, you guys want to have like an you know what? Nobody wants to talk now about Palantir. Everybody is running for the hills. But if you want, I'll give you a kind of the honest breakdown of, I guess, the good, the bad, and the ugly of whatever has been going on with Palantir in the last few days. Because there's a lot of flaws with this company for sure, but I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what exactly transpired in the last few days. And I you know, your audience doesn't give a shit about Palantir, so I'm gonna make it like brief and sweet. But basically, what we know about yesterday is that there was a big dump. Now we know this, right, from Ark. So Ark dumped like 200 million of Palantir, which is in itself is kind of dumbfounding. I don't understand what she's doing, whatever. But she dumped a lot of shares, which put a lot of pressure on the stock price, and I guess that's okay. But I think that pushed the price a little bit downwards. But I think like when we saw the reports, I mean, you mentioned this in your video, Chris. The biggest problem was the EPS miss. So they had an EPS of 0.2 versus the 0.4 that they were basically expected to make, and that was the biggest trigger. The problem with what happened, I think it has the kind of built in into the nature of Palantir. So Palantir is very, like, retail investors love Palantir. There's a big retail participation in Palantir. In fact, I think they're like 65% retail, which is one of the highest retail participated stocks. And if you compare it to a stock like Nvidia or even Snowflake, they have like 70% institutional. So it's kind of a reversal. When you have so much retail, then EPS becomes important. The thing with EPS, like, it's not really the metric that institutional investors are looking at. EPS is not that important. But because you have so much retail, and then they see, a huge miss on EPS, that drives a lot of this kind of manic depressive behavior.
Yeah, so I have a quick question, and then Fogg is probably able to talk. I mean, with retail, do people even look at earnings per share? I think they just look at revenue growth.
No. They look at EPS. You'd be surprised because they see it says a miss. Okay, so let me give you kind of the breakdown of what happened with the financials. I'll give you. I'm sure you guys didn't read the fucking Q4 earnings of Palantir because none of you give a shit, and that's okay. Yeah. But I'll give you kind of the rundown of what happened.
Oh,
so basically,
I think Fabio has something to say when you're done. By the way, go ahead.
So they had as I said, the EPS miss 0.2 instead of 0.4. Revenue was a beat. They did the revenue beat of 432 on the quarter instead of 418. They did 1.55 billion revenue on the year, which was a 41% annual growth, which was a beat of 11% on the annual growth that they guided for. And basically, they had commercial growth was 34%, government growth was 47%, and there's a lot of metrics inside there which I'm not going to get into. But the thing that happened with this stock is that I think why a lot of the analysts was not really impressed by the financials, not specifically the EPS, because the EPS is just a stock-based comp taking down your operating margin from 29% to -14%, which is just a tax benefit, to be honest. Otherwise, they would have had to pay tax on 424 million of operating profit.
I mean, but have you looked at it without even considering stock-based compensation? I mean, at that.
Yeah, I have all the numbers. I don't know how interesting it is to you guys, but basically their operating margin was -14 with stock-based comp, and without stock-based comp, it was 29%. Like the adjusted was 29%. So assuming they don't claim the expense, which is non-cash flow expense, but you can claim it for tax purposes, right? So Assuming if they don't claim the expense, they have a 30% profit, but they have to pay tax on 424 million, 21%. It's a tax benefit. Why not take it? But it looks bad on the EPS. So not every gap loss is a bad loss. Sometimes you can take a gap loss, even though they had free cash flow from operations of 420 million this year. But you'd rather take an NOL and carry forward and not pay tax next year instead of paying 20% on 420 now. But basically, what happened is it's very interesting. Is that if you look at the margins, you can see how the stock-based comp reduction over the year. They've been doing less and less stock-based comp and less dilution this year. You can see how it impacted the operating margin, not adjusted, the gap one, because it started with negative 49% in Q1 and it ended with minus 14. So as they stopped diluting and they stopped giving out SBC, you saw that it's coming closer to that 30% of adjusted. In fact, they only diluted 2.5% in the last quarter, which was really impressive compared to the 14% dilution they have on the year. So they are slowing down the stock-based comp and the dilution, which is good. I mean, I'm not against stock-based comp if you are giving it to the right people. Depends, the management are not bozos. But if you're allocating correctly, I'm not against stock-based comp. But basically, what happened is why people were concerned is because they say, well, look, guys, this company has 60% of their business coming from the government still. Yes, that's true. They're trying to pivot. That's all nice and dandy, but that's a story. So far, 60% of the revenue is coming from the government, right? And they're saying, well, it's nice that you guys grew 47% on the year, but if you look under the hood, there's a big problem. And the big problem is that there's a deceleration in the growth rate of the government business, which is a metric I'm sure none of you really give a shit about, but for hardcore Palantir investors like me, that's important. So they started, first quarter, they had 76% growth on government. Second quarter, they had 66%. Third quarter, they had 34%. And I believe in the last quarter, they had 26% growth on government. So you can see this.
Wait, hold up. We got to let Fabio.
Yeah, he's like dying over there.
Yeah,
He's dying. He's like
his pants, but well.
Everybody else shut up, Fabio.
All right, well, I apologize if the connection gets bad at any point because it's coming in and out, but I heard everything you said. I agree with a lot of what you said, Tom, by the way.
I was midway through the explanation of what happened with the government. Right? But okay, go ahead.
No, but with regards to retail, because retail was the main focus. Okay, so I don't know if you're a busy man, so I know you probably didn't see the video. So I've been an investor in Palantir since the beginning, since the OG. Okay, I bought at IPO, a little bit after IPO, and I did a video showcasing my entire buy and sell. And then
I'll check it out.
The point is, I don't like to do videos about past things because it doesn't provide viewers to my. Oh yeah, go ahead. And the reason, actually, the main reason as to why I initiated the position in the first place, I did like the technology. I spoke with subject matter experts. I spoke with.
You're still in the company?
Employee of Palantir, and no, I'm not. No. I exited completely officially in December, and I actually have that screenshot.
Are you buying back?
The point of the matter is, I explained the thesis as to what. Mm-hmm.
If it drops to 10, are you buying back in? It's a
DPO
price.
a price point. That would be that would be my original cost base, and that's why
10 was the DPO, right?
Because it actually came down and it. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. And I showed all the prices and I blurred out the things because I'm not brave enough to show my net worth. So. But the point is, that's not the point. The point of the no. But one day, actually, if I leave my next employer, which I will be announcing that video soon, where I'm going to be working, because I don't want my boss to know how much I have. That's why. Okay. If I was completely independent, I wouldn't care.
Okay. So what's the question?
Point is. Yeah, no, it's not a question. It's a statement. It's the point was we saw this liquidity crunch, right? It was coming. Okay. And I finished selling the entire position late December. I have the final screenshot of the last sale, the last bit of it. And the whole point was, yes, it was entirely invested by retail. When we have this disappointment, when we have this fear going on in the macro environment, we have this liquidity crunch, these quote unquote speculative assets. These are the canary in the coal mine. Palantir is one of them. 65% retail. Come on, that's like textbook canary in the coal mine. So
no, I said this in my video.
By the way,
I said
I love the tech.
16. No, the tech is great. Nobody argues about the tech. I said this in my video. When I did a video before the earnings, you guys can go and watch it. I said, hey, I think the earnings are going to be great. and I think his stock is still going to drop because it has 65% retail, and it's just not sustainable until there's more institutional flowing back in.
Agree with you.
It's going to be behaving like a drunk grandpa, riding backwards in a fucking automobile. It's just a fucking madman for sure.
And I'll tell you, I would love to compare notes, I guess, on the other stuff, because I'm actually interested in the business. I love the technology. There's a price at which I'm interested in re-entering. By the way, if anyone,
you guys want to hear the bear case of this, of the flaws?
Absolutely. I always want to discuss bear. I always want to find people who are bearish on even stocks I'm bullish on. With if you're bearish,
no, I'm bullish on this, but there's
really
definitely flaws. I mean, there's so much. There's it's like a human. It's like when you're dating a chick, right? There's not like. There's always flaws. They're flawed. Nothing is perfect, right? So you just, if you're getting married, right? You want to get married knowing the flaws. You want to know where the flaws are. You don't want to be surprised 5 years later, right? It's the same thing. My wife is perfect.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. No, except your wife. There's a joke like this.
I got the look.
She's definitely watching right now,
bro. I had a professor, and he told me this joke. He was teaching family law, and he said, they asked there was a random poll, and they were asking like young couples, do you guys know what's the divorce percentage like in the population? And they all said like 50%. What's the percentage that you guys will ever get divorced? And they all said 0. It's a human bias. Like you guys mentioned this earlier in the stream, I was watching on and off because I was with my kids. I think Fabio, you said this. We're all emotional creatures, bro. We can't help ourselves. We're fucking human beings. We're not robots. But basically, the problem was with Palantir is what you touched upon, Fabio, earlier, is because there's so much retail participation. They don't understand what gap losses mean and what EPS means, and they don't really understand this. But on the analyst side, where they saw a problem with the company, and that's a legitimate concern for them, they basically said, hey guys, so this is a company that has a declining line of government growth. So if the government growth is declining, and this is primarily a government business, right? So you guys are headed into the toilet. And that's why basically everybody started, like, that's the analyst approach. And it has merit, but if you look at some of the actual metrics there's a case to be made why this actually part of the metamorphosis of the company. So I actually looked deeper into the numbers, and I saw, like, for example, their revenue per client on the government side grew this year from 6.5 to 10 million per client, which is a sign that the tech is working. And also, if you take a look at the commercial side, it actually has the reverse trend completely, which is kind of weird. The commercial side is basically going bonkers. It's going, I think, 19, 26, 35, 47. So complete like the opposite. So as the commercial is basically flying upwards, accelerating growth, the government is coming down. And so basically, I think they're kind of pivoting into the commercial sector because there's a lot of limitation with being a government contractor. I mean, you have limited TAM. There's a glass ceiling. You can't work with a lot of companies around the world because they're limiting you. So I think they want to get out from the government. I don't know if they eventually spin off the commercial business or not. I don't know what happens. But I think they're trying to basically phase out government and get into commercial because, look, the numbers on the commercial are like insane. They had, in the US, the net retention on the US side was 150%. They grew US commercial growth was 130% on the revenue. They grew from 17 to 80 clients on the year on the US commercial side. So the US commercial side is where they're attacking right now, and it's going great. But the thing is, it also kind of is, somehow the advantage is part of the problem because they don't exist anywhere else. Like, they're really strong in the US. People fucking hate them in Europe. They all fucking hate Palantir. They like, how Jay said he hates
they look at them as this sort of spyware thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's probably what they're using it for. I mean,
Look, Palantir, once they're in your company, I agree with you, Tom Nash. They're like, they're basically like for everyone else. They're custom made for these companies. They send these data engineers, software engineers / data analysts, whatever, these chads. Let's just call them software chads. Okay, they send these guys over to your company for months at a time, and so there's a lot of cost initially in the development, but once they have you're very unlikely to get out of them. All of these things are true. The moat is pretty incredible. Like my largest investment, Google, they're not really doing anything like they are. All of these things are true. my only concern was the retail heavily involvement, and that was when I went to the gym. Just anecdotal. I went to the gym. This kid came up to me, and we talked stocks sometimes, and he was like,
no.
"I'm in debt."
I know where this is going.
Yeah, so like the shoe shiner thing, right? The shoe
I was about
shiner
to say,
is
was
Yeah.
shining your shoes.
But Fabio, tell me this. Now, when I saw what happened yesterday, by the way, I tweeted yesterday. Sorry, not yesterday. On Friday, I bought $85,000 more of Palantir. Even though I said I would not do it, I broke my own ceiling because I actually bought a 12 and it kept on going down. But I'm in it for the long run. I honestly don't care about the price action. When I'm looking at this, what's going on right now? Look, I only have 5 or 4 stocks in my portfolio. Honestly, I have Palantir, I have Google, I have Tesla, and I have S&P 500. That's my only actual positions. And I don't. So basically, when I look at the price action, I was saying this is a good thing because it's going to weed out a lot of these retail speculators out finally, and we can actually. Because when it jumped to 40, like I did a DCF about it and said, hey, people like to quote me on this, because I have a thumbnail that says $500 Palantir. Maybe, but like if you look at the DCF that I did, my DCF says $35, which is where I think it's kind of the bull case. I have also a bear case DCF, which is 25. But like when we weed out all of this retail and actual smart money gets in, it's going to be like, you know what they say, the stock market crashes on the elevator downwards and climbs back up the stairs. So it's going to be a couple of years. It's either, I said this before, it's either going to make me very rich or it won't. But let's see what happens.
This is the last question. We got to shut this down. So what is your cost basis in Palantir?
I haven't checked recently because I have it across a few accounts. But my 80, I need to check was my $85,000 that I bought. I think quite reduced it. Before I bought the 85 grand, my cost base was around $17.
Yeah, that's not too
I'm down big. No, dude, it will keep dropping.
Like you're down, but it's not like you didn't buy it. Like, didn't it go up to 20 something or 30?
I started buying Palantir. I didn't know about Palantir on the DPO at all. I had no idea. What happened is, I don't know guys, if you guys know Clearbank, the Canadian guys. So my friend from Clearbank came up to me and said, hey, there's this company and they're trading like much cheaper than Snowflake. I think they have a better business. You want to check it out? And I was basically blown away. So I started buying at $18. So, and then I was basically up and down. So I'm not on 10 like Fabio. I'm much, much higher. And I think it probably may drop even to the 9 or 8.
Well, I'm out.
Yeah.
I sorry, I keep muting myself because there's a lot of background noise people talking, so I keep moving the camera.
Oh, yeah. Fabio's getting the last chat, and then we're done because I got to read a super chat, and then we're going to shut this.
And I got to go meet you, Tom, in a bit. So also,
I don't know at what point retail is going to be fully out. I think Palantir, the technology is great, all of that, yes. They're going to have perhaps like an Amazon moment. People like Tom Nash who love the company, believe in it, and they want to put that risk in now. Great, but you have to have all those convictions in it. And you
know what you also need to have,
Fabio? Have an Amazon moment. But,
you need to understand that you may never see the money again. If you play an investment like Palantir, you have in your heart this idea. It's like this money might be gone, and I have to be okay with it.
Absolutely.
Unless you have that ability, and like it's rent money or kids' education money or food money, it should not be in the stock market to begin with. And I've been saying this from day one.
I put all my son's college savings in Palantir, guys. All right, I'm going to read this comment, and then we're done. Strong man, is there a world ETF X Tesla, Nvidia, and Palantir? Not that I know of, but if there was, I would buy it. All right,
did you guys know that there's an ETF? I think an ETF that shorts Ark. Sark.
It's called
Did you hear
Sark.
about it?
Yeah.
I've heard about it yesterday for the first time.
Yeah, but if you bought that a couple months ago, you made a freaking fortune.
Austin's
So
long that.
do you guys,
Austin is long
before you guys close, I was wondering, since I have you all here, like obviously, I don't like what Kathy did, but I mean, I'm not a Kathy hater. But can anybody understand me the logic of why would you sell? If fundamentally nothing changed, why would she sell?
Well, okay.
She doesn't look at fundamentals.
This is
Yeah.
yeah, she's not
Kathy.
She's not looking at fundamentals, man. She's so
the
high.
OG drifter. She is. And that's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. Okay, people are honking and stuff. And thank you for making that wake, dude. So I'm going to be right back. Sorry if you guys see sick. I'll turn off camera just in case. So Kathy Wood is the OG grifter. Essentially, she doesn't actually even understand what she owns. And yeah, the other guys are even more grifters, like Jim Cramer, because now they were praising her a couple months ago. Now she's a shark bleeding in the water, and they're the sharks circling around here. She does not actually, in my opinion, understand what it is that she owns half the time. And she makes a lot of money, and you got to look at someone's incentives. I love Charlie Munger's quote, show me the incentives, I'll show you the outcome. She's incentivized to sell you a story, not to sell you a great investment half the time. She can be right on some picks, by the way. She can be right on Palantir. Let's say 20 years down the line, Palantir is $1 trillion company. Cool, great. But look at all the other ones she's going to be picking. Pay attention.
She sold out. It's gone. She sold out.
It doesn't matter if she's right or wrong. She sold half of it.
I know.
All right, hey,
I'm
that's
just
it,
saying,
everybody.
like,
Shutting the stream down.
You know what they
All
say?
right,
You
man.
can't
Pleasure.
stay here, but you got to go home.
All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey,
All right,
Scott,
guys.
see you
It's
in
a
a bit.
pleasure.
See you in a bit, Alex.